Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and I've got a really awesome video for you all today. No, it's not clickbait. No, I'm not trolling. Real talk, no cap here, boys. We swap covenants. Swapping covenants is something that I've been debating doing for probably about the past month or so, but I haven't for a handful of reasons. The first few weeks it was because we were either doing a sales running guild, or we had the demonology stuff going on with stamina scaling, emblems, and all of that, which I do still feel that Night Fae, hey, spoilers ahead, we were Night Fae, so we're not anymore. I do feel that Night Fae is currently the best overall covenant for demonology. That's single target, that's AoE, with the demonic consumption stamina scaling. And then last week we had a sales running guild, so I felt we should probably hold off, and this week was the Mythic Plus Fortified good push week, which I did about 9-10 keys farming a ruby. We finally got our ruby, and we have 3 options in the vault this week. So I figured that technically a couple days ago on stream that it was probably a pretty good time to swap. So with all that being said, we're going to talk about the covenant I swapped to, why I swapped, how I swapped, what transfers over, what doesn't, look at sims for it, for AF, Demo, Destro, and really just give you a more in-depth reason as to why I swapped covenants. Now I will say right now, Night Fae is still the best covenant I feel overall universally for Warlocks. I have died twice, one time on an axe on Zymox, thinking that I had soul shape. I didn't. It takes a while getting used to not having soul shape. The ability is actually really strong. I'm not saying it's going to force me, or I guess make me choose Night Fae over something else with a better DPS increase, but still, nevertheless, it does take a bit of, I guess, getting used to. Any week auras, profiles, or add-ons you see from this video, you can grab for free off my Twitch. If you want to swing by, hang out, ask any questions, feel free to do so. I also updated a handful of them a few days ago, so if you guys are using old versions, feel free to grab the most recent ones. At the same time, I want to give a shout out to all my patrons. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. I really truly appreciate it. I will indeed be creating a 9.1 Warlock spreadsheet document of sorts, very similar to what I did for 9.0 when 9.1 PTR begins and raid testing gets in full swing. If you would like early access to that, the tier 3 Felgar rank or higher of my Patreon gets just that. With all that being said, let's get into the video talking about, let's be honest here, the best covenant out there and why I joined it. As if there's going to be any real question here, I swapped to Necrolord first. Necrolord and Venthyr are the 2 covenants that I really wanted to play early on in alpha and beta, and when I had the opportunity to start swapping covenants, I said there's no way I'm not going Necrolord first. Now, as far as Destro and Demo and AF are all concerned, Necrolord is tiny bit better if you're looking at pure destruction sims here. This is Blood Mallet. The profiles to use aren't as completely accurate. You should indeed run your own sims, just looking at sims in general. But looking at the Destro soulbinds here, you can see that Bonesmith is actually really close to Nia, technically a tiny bit better. However, that comes with the loss of growth invigoration and things, but his actual Marrow Gemstone ability is really strong. We knew that Destro Necrolord is good, but once again, universally, I mean, you can see how close Nia is here to Bonesmith. There's a lot of Necrolord Night Fae trading here. Overall, universally, Night Fae still is the best covenant. It has a very good single target ability in Soul Rot, dealing twice the damage to your main target, then applying the dot to 3 or 4 surrounding mobs, and giving you Grove Invigoration, the big mastery buff for half a minute. That actually lines up really well with your Infernal. Soul Rot being a minute cooldown, Grove Invigoration being a full half a minute, which is, hey, exactly what your Infernal is too. But Bonesmith is a very solid option as well. Also, if you scroll down a bit more, you'll see that they're simming conduit-wise with like Burrs, Ashen Remains. You can even see, but Necrolord has Ashen Remains and Fatal Decimation. This is, heads up, this is not the conduit you want for Destro sim. So I think Necrolord's a little bit more ahead as far as the Blood Mallet profile is concerned for destruction. Affliction and Demonology, we know that the state of Necrolord for Affliction is unfortunately not as good as it was in alpha and beta. Necrolord Affliction affects 1 Drain Soul. Now your Decimating Bolt only gives you one bonus, like it gives you 1 stack, the bonus damage of Drain Soul. Previously in alpha and beta it was 3 stacks, which stacked with Malefic Wrath, your legendary, which stacked with Drain Soul's baseline execute as well, and other damage based effects that were really strong. The thing is, that was nerfed in late beta, and you can see even after the buffs that Necrolord has gotten, you can see also simming with the proper conduits here, Malignancy, Cold Embrace. It's still not incredibly strong, but this is also a 5-minute sim. This does not show the final execute portion of the fight, where Drain Soul will actually gain a good bit of value. Is it going to be better than Nia here or Pelagos? No. It'll probably be ahead of Venthyr here, I would assume, in the actual execute phase. But my biggest concern swapping to Necrolord, as far as AF was concerned, was that number one, I'm not getting a Grove Invigoration. I'm not getting Soul Rot for AoE Mythic Plus. That's just how it is. Drain Soul was going to be your only real ability that it affects. You're not getting that AoE diet application, so you're losing a decent bit of Rapture value in AoE. Now you're losing some Rapture value in single target due to not having Soul Rot and also not having the Mastery buff, but the Decimating Bolt buff is sort of there. It's not equal, but it is what it is. The big thing is that on a lot of fights this tier, at least in progression for us, Sire and Athreus, the important part of that fight at this point is the final phase, is execute. Is it going to do the same amount of damage as Nia will in execute or Night Fae? I'm not sure. I assume it's probably a little bit less, but I think it's much closer than it seems here in this sim. Phase 1 and phase 2, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. The same goes for Sludge Fist and Execute, or Lusting, getting PI, all of that. So I wasn't really concerned losing, you know, a couple hundred DPS as far as Affliction's concerned. Demonology, like we mentioned, it might sim the highest here, technically, over Nia and Karain. But if you look at the profiles of Blood Malice running and just, well, everything else, we're not playing this trinket here. It's not playing an Emblem. It's not playing a Ruby. It's playing Doom. It's playing an interesting combination of gear, to say the least. But what I'm getting at here is that we know this is not taking into consideration the stamina scaling effects, Emblem gameplay, Ruby gameplay, huge demonic consumption play. I think this was actually playing Sack Souls for a while too. It's playing Decon now, which is great, but Doom. So I still feel that Nia is better than Bonesmith by a good bit, but I'm not taking a massive hit outside of Night Fae when it comes to single target. It's Decimating Bolt's Demon Bolt based, so all you're going to have is a single target damage increase. Not as big as Decon for Nia or for Night Fae with Grove Invigoration and all that, but it's not the end of the world. Now, would I play Necrolord for the big Demonology stamina scaling build? No. There's a reason I stuck Night Fae for 2 more weeks. I wanted to see that build in combat with Grove Invigoration, with PIs, with rallies, with stamina scaling effects, and it's really, really strong. But with all that being said, the main reason that I made the swap to Necrolord wasn't just to play with a different covenant. It wasn't just to have fun and do this and that in game. Hey, I love Necrolord. Thematically, this place is awesome. The tree is great, Soulship's great, but hey man, look, dude, get fleshed on, man. Necrolord is awesome, but the reason I made the swap, and the reason I'm going to be swapping again, not to Night Fae, either to Kyrian or Venthyr, and then after that, swapping again to the last conduit or covenant, is because of Renown. Now, I'm at Renown 18 right now. I haven't played in about 2 days, give or take. I've been really busy with some IRL things going on. The big thing, heading into 9.1, and you're probably going to start seeing this over the next few days. It's already happened. I think a couple people have done it because I did it. Days, weeks, heading into 9.1 PTR, is that Renown stays the same whenever you go from one covenant to the next. I left Night Fae at Renown 40. I'll go back. It'll still be Renown 40. I'll leave Necrolord at Renown 40. Still going to be 40 if I ever go back. Now, as of right now, the plans are to be Night Fae once we're done here. We're going back Night Fae, I would assume probably in 3-ish weeks, and then stay there until 9.1. Unless things change buff-wise over the course of PTR, which I think there's a pretty good chance they will. As far as things are concerned, Venthyr is just not a very good performer across Demo or AF or Destro, and even Necrolord, looking at Affliction, like, this is just miserable. There's not even like a red or green bar here. It's just Kyrian, Night Fae, and that's it. I wouldn't be surprised at all. We saw a couple classes last patch actually get some changes. I think Demon Hunter had a complete overhaul of their Necrolord ability. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a change, either a buff to Decimating Bolt for AF, or a complete overhaul, or a change to actual Venthyr as well, because Impending Catastrophe probably needs a little bit of help too. It has a lot of dot scaling, rapture effect scaling, but it's just a bit lackluster when it comes to single target, when it comes to rating. And that's honestly the biggest thing, is that you lack a lot of damage there, you know. My plans moving forward though, still playing Destro, still playing Demo, still playing AF. I want to play a bit of Destro this week in Raid. Now we looked at the Sims, obviously, for Necrolord playing Destro. The big thing is that Roaring Blaze increases Incinerate damage. It increases Incinerate, Immolate, Incinerate, Conflagrate, a handful of fire-based abilities. Decimating Bolt also increases Incinerate's damage, which is one of the good synergies between Necrolord, Roaring Blaze, Destruction. If you're playing Cinders, it gets even stronger. It gets stronger and stronger. So I'm really curious to take this build, maybe playing Dark Soul over CDF, even though Roaring does increase CDF damage, into Raid this week and see how it actually goes. Now, just a reminder, Roaring Blaze is not every spell. Technically, it does not affect Rain of Fire, Chaos Bolt, Cataclysm, a few other things. It's a whitelist, blacklist kind of thing. It used to say just fire spells, but they changed it to just say Channel Demon Fire, Immolate, Incinerate, and Conflagrate. But regardless, Necrolord is still a solid choice for this. There are a few downsides, though, when it comes to swapping covenants. Let's talk a bit about that so you guys know everything about it before you maybe make the choice that I did potentially as well. Now, like I mentioned, the reason I swapped to Necrolord and then I'm going Venthyr and Kyrian is to have Renown 40 across all 4 covenants when 9.1 hits. Hopefully we'll know how final tuning is. I'm really hoping Blizzard just says, hey, listen, 9.1 covenant tuning is done before the patch actually hits retail, which is probably going to be in a couple months from now. Choose whatever you want. And we don't get, hey, week 1, week 2 tuning. But we had covenant buffs literally 3 hours before the expansion went live to Warlocks. Thankfully, it didn't change anything, but I don't have a crazy amount of confidence they're actually going to say that and then also follow up on it. So I think having all covenants at 40 right now will save you a tremendous amount of time. Number one, if you have to swap in the middle of progression, because it's going to take me probably about a week or so, give or take, just going at it casually, grinding from Renown 0 to Renown 40. Now, there's a handful of ways to get Renown. Number one, your daily heroic, or I guess heroic dungeons, do give Renown. We got one from there. LFR, we did 10 bosses and got 9 Renown tokens. We did not get one off Stone Legion Generals, and that was at Renown 13, I believe. But going 9 out of 10 was pretty solid. Normal, heroic, mythic will also give additional Renown if you do it the same week as LFR. There's no individual boss lockout as far as I've heard. We've done mythic plus dungeons. We did everything was above a 14 just for the weekly chests and things, and we did indeed get Renown from that. We also got Renown from our calling boxes. I'm trying to think what else. I believe that's about it. I'm probably forget. Oh, and then the main questline campaign, which I believe gives 5 Renown total. And you also have your weekly of 10 souls, 5 souls, 15 souls, and your 1,000 anima. If you haven't done that, or if you're planning on swapping a covenant later on in the week, I would say save those 2 quests because they will not copy over when you go from one covenant to the next if you've already done them. Now, the big things about swapping covenants. Number one, anima will not transfer over. If you have anima in your anima reservoir, let's say with Night Fae, it will not transfer over. So either spend it. I'm pretty sure I've heard that it just goes away if you swap back. I haven't confirmed that though. The big thing is that if you have anima in your bags, like the little blue tokens, it will disappear if you swap covenants, from what I've heard from multiple sources, which is unfortunate because, well, obviously you like to spend that. It would be cool to pool anima throughout the week and then go to a new covenant later on, maybe after a farm is over or prog is over, whatever for the week. The cool thing, don't expect this to last. If you have anima, you can find your covenant armor vendor. It's very important here. You understand. Buy the pieces of gear that cost 100 anima only. You can buy these infinitely if you're a Night Fae, whatever covenant you are, and then go to the next covenant and sell them back. You can technically transfer anima that way. Now, the anima has to be in your reservoir to buy it, but I spent 7,000 anima on those items, all pairs of pants, from Night Fae going to Necrolord, came over, sold them all, and I had 7,000 anima to spend on Sanctum upgrades, which is also important, I feel, when you're getting your covenant leveled up. I would like to transfer over to have my network going, to have my actual table going. Now, you will also lose your redeemed souls. I am not 100% if they stay with the old covenant or not. I'm assuming the answer is no. I had like 120 with Night Fae, and I assume they're probably all gone. But I feel it's important to have a good bit of anima swap over. Having the actual transport network going, having your table done, having the A-bomb factory, and even your command table going is very important. You can get a pretty big head start on that. Number 2, your followers on the mission table. This is a huge question that I've gotten a lot. Your covenant specific followers will not follow you over. The ones that will, let's select them first of all here. Croman and Meatball, the universal followers, they will follow you over, and they will keep the same level that they had in the previous covenant, which makes it very easy to level the new followers pretty quickly. Now, the mission table probably needs to be fixed in the first place, or I guess you can say buffed, because it's sort of a nightmare right now. It's way too hard to level followers. It takes an actual eternity, but it makes it easy. Meatball 34, Croman level 8. to send them out on missions you might not be able to complete early on with lower level characters or followers, and just blast them, get them done fast. You definitely want to have a bit of, like, I guess, resource extra anima around. I would say to try and push these guys as high as you can, as fast as possible in the few days, week, whatever you're doing in this actual covenant. Having them all at level 20, even level 30, if you really truly min-max them, is going to be a huge bonus when it comes to actually having everything is ready and rolling for the next patch, or if you have to swap from Necrolord, from Knife to Necrolord, whatever, what have you. Chroman and Meatball will follow you over. I have heard there's a bug if you have Chroman and Meatball out on missions in the previous covenant and you swap, there's a chance they don't appear. I had them out and swapped, they appeared. So do that at your own risk. This is almost like TOS here, right? Do that at your own risk. Either way, they did indeed follow me over, so that worked out pretty well. Just make sure to min-max your table as much as you can with the allotted amount of time you have. Number 3, this is a big one too. If you're going to try and swap and push covenants really fast for raid, maybe tomorrow, the next day, I would highly recommend having conduit energy. You're going to have to grind out your soul binds. I haven't even done bonesmith yet. I'll do it later on tonight. None of your conduits are filled in. Keep in mind, filling in a conduit, like just the open slot, takes conduit energy, which means that you are going to need, as you can see, a lot of conduit energy to fill these in. Now, this is also a bit of way to get ahead, because you want to, I would assume, you want to have 10 conduit slots available heading into the next raid. If you're swapping covenants last second and scrambling, or doing it in the middle of a progression week, you're probably going to be in a weird spot with conduit energy anyways, as long as it's still a thing in 9.1, and fingers crossed that it's not. But you can still fill in these trees, dump your extra conduit energy into them, in an attempt to maybe make conduit energy a bit less of an actual headache. As you can see here, all your conduits do indeed follow you over as well. The only one that does not is your covenant one. You'll get the baseline, I guess, covenant one the second you transfer over from the first quest to open up your initial soulbind. And then I got like fatal 200 from calling box. I actually got 2 of them back to back, so you get them pretty easily. But those are the big things that I've seen for the most part. Once again, Renown grinding, you can grind that out really quickly. I believe there have been people who ground out 2 covenants in a week. But the problem is that, well, I mean, I don't know really the problem. The thing is, that requires a lot of min-maxing, a lot of playing the game, and, well, I don't blame you if you're trying to chill a little bit heading into 9.1. But I'm happy to be a Necrolord. I'm happy to be home. This is the covenant that I enjoyed the most over the course of Alpha and Beta, followed by Venthyr, and then probably Night Fae and Kyrian, because we real here, Kyrian is so incredibly boring at this point. But nonetheless, I am indeed a Necrolord now, and it feels good to be home, even though it's probably only going to be for, 5 or so days. I think the biggest question that I want to answer briefly here is, how hard is it to swap covenants? It's incredibly easy. If you have not previously been a part of that covenant, I joined Night Fae day 1 of Shadowlands launch, and I have not swapped since then. Going to Necrolord is incredibly easy. All you do is walk into Oribos, go to the Necrolord, say, hey, I want to join. You click 5 buttons to confirm it, make sure you're 8,000% sure, and go to the main city, or go to the seat of the Primus. The quest line starts. I got Disseminating Bolt, and I got Fleshcraft within 2 minutes of actually being out here. The Renown grind takes a bit longer. The wait, though, comes when you're trying to go back to a covenant you were previously in. If I go from Venthyr, I guess to Venthyr, from Night Fae or Necrolord right now, it's fine. It'll be the same thing. It'll be, hey, do you want to join the Venthyr? Let's go. Great. Awesome. It takes 2 minutes to do. If I go from Necrolord, example, back to Night Fae now, though, from what I've heard and understand, it takes 2 weeks, 2 weeks in quotations, technically with an asterisk, to go back. The thing is, and from what I can find on Wowhead, first of all, it's very hard to find an article on anything about covenant swapping. It's really tough. The thing's laid out, which is sort of awkward. The thing is, it takes a reset to get your covenant swap back. So you'll have to do a quest to actually fill in the bar, prove your worth for, let's say, Night Fae. I have to do dungeons or world quests, whatever, what have you. We do it, and then next reset rolls around, we have more questing to do, and you can rejoin. Now, technically, if you say, hey, I want to go back to Night Fae on Wednesday of a random week, you can do the quest over the whole week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and whatever your respective reset day is. And then when that reset day comes around, you can do the second part of it on reset and swap for a total of, I don't know, 7-8ish days you had to wait to go back. You can also just do the first part of the quest Monday evening and the second part Tuesday, if that's your reset day, or, Tuesday into Wednesday for EU, and there's that. So it's not a 2-week wait like most people have mentioned or you've heard well, from everybody. It's not 2 weeks. It can be, I guess, anywhere from a day and a half to a week in a few days or so, but it's not as bad as it seems. Now, I'm not saying everybody should go do this at this point. If you're progressing on bosses and stuff, I probably would say don't waste your time, don't bother, because I would assume you've joined the covenant that's best for your class DPS wise, and if you haven't, if you join for just cosmetics, the swap probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you. But having each covenant at Renown 40 and the most prepped, getting all your prep done for 9.1 now will save you a lot of time if a covenant swap is called for within a couple of days of 9.1 going live. Instead of having to do LFR, normal, heroic, and all these like Mythic Plus dungeons, farming all this stuff, while you're also doing 9.1 content, you can just go, okay, patch comes out tomorrow, do the first part of the quest line, Monday, Tuesday rolls around, nothing changed, you're good to go. Also, from what I've heard, when it comes to like the 2 week, or I guess the 2 week swapping quest line back to a covenant you were previously a part of, you can do the first part and you'll still be a part of your current covenant. Like if I'm Necrolord trying to go back to Night Fae, I can do the first part, but I'm still gonna be Necrolord till I finish. So if Blizzard does push some weird hot fixes the day of the actual like patch launching, and you haven't finished the second part yet, you're still fine. So there's sort of a safeguard there in a sense. But either way, if you're trying to min-max for 9.1 or looking for something to do in game right now, and aren't really concerned about a DPS loss in certain spots, maybe even a gain for some, like if you're a Destro Warlock, or maybe a sort of a wash if you're trying to go from like Night Fae to Kyrian, even though Kyrian is miserable, I'd say definitely take into consideration. I've had a lot of fun grinding the questline out again. Now, the farther I go into the storyline, I'm sure it might get a bit boring, but at this point, I'm enjoying being home. I'm enjoying fleshing on people, and soul shape, it's a thing of the past. At least for the next 2 weeks. Thanks for watching, dudes. I hope this video gave you a better idea, understanding of just what covenant swapping is and everything that it's about, and really why I did it. I've gotten so many questions on stream as to why I'm a Necrolord. I've got a command on stream that I have to sort of just time out because it takes it's spammed every few minutes, but it's okay, because not many people have started the swap yet and started the Renown grind yet. With 9.1 assumingly coming out in about 7 days, give or take now, I wanted to get a bit of a head start on it, but I also wanted to make sure that, hey, you know, I went to a covenant that wasn't really going to hinder my performance in raid. It might hurt a little for Affliction. Destro gains a bit of value, and Demonology, well, unless you're getting stamina buffs and PIs and rallies and everything, you're probably not playing Demo at a, you can, but probably not playing at a high level at this point. Any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'll be sure to get back to you guys. Any week wars, profiles, or add-ons you see, you can grab for free off my Twitch. If you want to swing by, hang out, ask any questions anytime, feel free to do so. Once again, a quick shout out to all my patrons. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. Heads up, I will indeed be creating the 9.1 Warlock spreadsheet overview when PTR begins, pretty soon after PTR begins. The tier 3 Felgar rank or higher of my Patreon does get early access to that if you're interested in that. Thanks again, dudes, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.